This video describes a new procedure added to Statgraphics 19 to perform a stability study. The data used in a stability study consist of quantitative measurements of a single dependent variable y, measuring some important characteristic of a product. Samples are obtained from multiple batches at several times after production. The goal is to determine an acceptable shelf life for that product based on linear or nonlinear models of y versus time, and one or more specification limits. As an example, consider this data. It shows measurements taken from 8 batches of a drug, everywhere from 0 to 48 months after it was produced. The specification for the drug percentage is 90%. We want to determine a shelf life so that we can be 95% certain that at least 95% of all samples at that shelf life still have a drug percentage of at least 90. To determine an acceptable shelf life for the product in Statgraphics 19, I'll go to the top menu to Relate, One Factor Stability Study. The response column is drug percentage, the time column is month, and the batch column is batch. Where it asks for the lower specification limit, I'll put in the value 90 because I want that drug percentage to be 90 or above. On the Analysis Options dialog box, I need to specify several important options. First off, I need to tell it what percentile I'm interested in. And since I want 95% of the product to be above the spec, I'll base my analysis on the 95th percentile. The confidence level is set at 95 because I want to be 95% certain of statements that I make. I can also specify how to treat batches. If I didn't think there was any batch effect, I wouldn't have to include it in the model. If I thought the batch effect was the same at all time periods, I could ask for main effects only. But to begin, I think I'll ask for both main effects and an interaction, and that would be an interaction between batches and time. I also have an option to treat batches as either fixed effects or random effects. Most of the time, the batches will be a random selection of many batches of a product that I might make, so it makes sense in a lot of cases to treat them as random effects. I can transform the data if necessary. The typical assumption is that the data are normally distributed around the model. If that's not true, I could ask for some sort of a transformation. I could also switch from a linear model to some other model if I thought that would be more appropriate. The standard approach, though, is just to consider a linear model. I'll press OK, and I can ask for different tables and graphs. I think I'll ask for an analysis summary, shelf life estimates, a shelf life plot, and a residual probability plot. I'll then press OK to have Statgraphics 19 fit. The first thing I want to look at is the analysis summary. Since I specified that the batch effects were random, it's done a variance components analysis for me. You can see that there are several sources of variability. There's variability due to batches, variability due to a month times batch interaction, and the normal source of variability that's just called error. Looking at the p-values, it does appear that there is a significant contribution from the batches, but not from the month times batch interaction. That p-value is well above 10%, at which case I might decide to press the right mouse button, go back to analysis options, and to ask for main effects of batches only. That changes the analysis a bit. We now have significant sources of variability from error and batches. Now, to determine what the shelf life would be, I need to go over to this shelf life plot. What you see on this plot is the original data with the specification limit of 90 drawn as a horizontal line along the bottom. You also see a 95% lower confidence bound for P5. That's the 5th percentile of the distribution. And an upper 95% confidence bound for P95. The shelf life is determined by finding the intersection of the lower confidence bound for P5 with the lower specification limit. It appears that at 56.3 months, I can still be 95% confident that at least 95% of my product will be greater or equal to 90.